have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. Let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Emotions. This is a show where I encourage you and I remind you that if you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Emotions. Oh, Menasa here. Today my topic is single mothers. Single mothers. And this is a topic that is just it comes with a whole lot of bias. And it also comes with a lot of judgment. And people seem to have preconceived notions about single mothers, especially if you are not a widow. Then, why are you a single mother? So whatever you meet in that category of your life as a single mother, you brought it upon yourself. So there is a type of stigma that goes around in the society because there are women who are single mothers. So today I decided that I was going to bring in a guest. And thank you so much for being here, Eunice. God bless you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself properly.
Thank you so much for having me, Lady O. My name is Eunice Adimora.
Okay. So I have known you for quite some time.
True.
And I have watched you close and I've watched you far. And something that I appreciate about you is your perseverance. You have persevered. And that is such an encouragement to me, and I know that it will be an encouragement to my viewers. One thing that my father always told me is that you would not bring home a bastard. You would not bring home
family.
You would not. I mean, this is the one thing that he said. So if I forgot about my education, if I forgot about every other rule, I couldn't forget that one. So I can only imagine what you must have gone through in that season. Please share it with us.
Okay, so thank you very much. I actually had my first break at being a mother at the age of 24, and it was a decision I eventually allowed myself to take, because truth is, growing up, of course, the same instruction or order you always got was always the same thing I got, and it always rang in my head. But I felt it was more of circumstances at the time, because I was very frustrated with a couple of things I was going through at that time, having as a student in the university then, and having to work through school, and fend for my siblings. Of course, my parents were supportive as they could. Ministry in Nigeria is not really a field, a day. So it was more like coping and fending for myself, my siblings, and as well, some other human beings, living under me. So it got to a point like I was emotionally stressed. I think that was actually, now I can sit back and recall that what actually prompted me to making such decisions at the time was more of the emotional stress I was feeling at the time. And I was like, how can I be fending for adults, with the small stipend I was getting from work I was doing at the time, and still be okay? And the funny thing is, these people would come when there is plenty, and once it's no more, they all go their separate ways. And I said to myself, wouldn't it be better if I was training a child? And that was like a thought that just happened off mind.
So having your child was actually a decision?
It was eventually, because within me, that was like a thought that came at the time.
Okay.
Because, but funny enough, I wasn't in any relationship at that time. So it was the frustration of what I was going through, the fact that I was left alone at that time. I was without any money. And then every other person that used to come enjoy were all gone. So I'm sure you might understand that kind of
yes,
position.
yes,
So that was a thought that just happened. Then a year after this happened. So I had to mention this because our thoughts become our
become a
reality eventually. So it was a year later. Funny enough, it was just like a play thing. Sorry to say, but when I discovered I was pregnant, I was like 3 months gone.
Wow.
So I didn't, as in up till the time, I was still having my menstrual cycle, so I couldn't really tell that I was pregnant at the time. And then when I found out, discovered, I was freaking out, like, okay, what am I going to do? I tried every measures actually to take out that pregnancy, to take out that baby. Every measure up till the 5th month. So it was at the 5th month because I took injectables, I took the swallowables in double doses. I also had to go traditional methods, the ones I had to bathe with. So that was how bad I wanted it out, so as not to bring shame to my parents. So after going through all that and I was not seeing anything, of course, I got the advice from the father of the child, take out this pregnancy. You won't bring shame to me and all of that. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? And at the 5th month, he was willing for me to go all the way to take it out through abortions. And I made up my mind. I said I was not going to do any abortions. So it was at that time I resigned to my fate. Like, okay, if I'm going to have an imbecile, so be it. So I had that baby with hope that she wouldn't turn out, with defects.
Or when you say an imbecile,
Pardon.
yes. Pardon our French viewers. When you say an imbecile, like what I think that you were trying to say is a child who has birth defects, like
yes,
Down
birth
syndrome,
defects, yes,
or a stuff
from
like
the
that.
drugs and all of those things
Because
I
of
had
everything that
taken.
you were taking.
So,
Okay.
and the option of going to abort the pregnancy was no longer something for me at 5 months, so I had to make that decision, and then I did that, went through that process solely. Although at that time, after I had mentioned to the father of the child that I couldn't take it out. Of course, he made money available, but I had to run away from the city into a village, rural area where I had to fend for myself till I had my baby. And of course, I hid away from my parents, the truth about the fact that I was pregnant. My parents didn't know about it for fear of having my dad take ill, from the news, because as a first child, a first daughter, it can be heartbreaking. So I didn't want to be the reason for my dad to fall out of health and all of that. So I had to stay away. So my dad didn't know that I had the baby. He didn't even believe when he heard hints of it until the day I had my child. And he sent my mom, go and see the drama. Your daughter, she's very dramatic. Go and check out and find out if it's the truth. So it was on the day I had my baby, my mom arrived, saw the baby, and had to make the baby cry for my dad to eventually believe. Well, thank God it's 10 years
your mom
this year.
take it?
Well, I had mentioned it to her when I had, after the decision to keep the pregnancy.
Okay.
But she was like, I know you can't dramatize. This thing you're saying, are you sure you're not thinking, conceiving it? I was like, okay, now let's see how it goes. I mean, months kept going, and she was like, how are you? I'm fine. So I think she was actually expecting to hear some news or, like, oh, this is, so she really didn't get that because I was even very active throughout the period. And she really didn't get that until the day I was to have my baby. And she was like, whatever you do, make sure your head comes out. I don't know the drama you're doing, but make sure your head comes out of it. I don't want to hear that you died in this process. So that was all her concern, me. But I thank God my head and that of the child came through eventually.
How did you handle the stigma?
Okay, so I was very lucky. I would say I was lucky because I had amazing friends. I was able to get through that process because of the friends I had around me at that time. I'm a very friendly person, but I have very few friends. And at that time, funny enough, I was ministered to more by strangers. People I had just met me barely a year before. I remembered one person said to me, why do you want to go all the way to that place where at that time I wanted to relocate to Kaduna, and there were lots of killings at that time. So he says, why do you want to go all the way to that place? Do you know if anything happens to you, no one would be able to come to rescue you? Why not go here? But if you need a place to stay within Abuja, my house is open for you. This is an individual I met. I just did work with him for, just did a contract work, and that was it. So I mentioned it to him. He says, I am a Catholic and I never would support abortion. Rather than take out that child, have that baby and give it to me. I will take care of the child. I will adopt the child for myself. So that was encouragement for me. Another person was my best friend as well. I always thank God for her, because if not for her, trust me, it would be very hard. She's been with me from the process of pregnancy. She's been there for me. We were schoolmates at the university, but till date, she's really been there for me in supporting with school fees, with house rent as she can. Honestly, it's just, if not for those two persons at that time of my life, I think I might have lost it completely. So these were complete strangers, not family members. My family members eventually came into the picture. And like I said, I really did not want to involve my parents at the time because of fear of what might happen after they get the information. And truly, in our church, the church my dad pastors, once that happens, rather than the punishment to come on me, it would come on him, through demotion. And I didn't want that for all his years in ministry to go to waste like that because of me. So which was one of the reasons I stayed very far away from him. And quite all right, the stigma was there, but I also needed to see my dad. I hadn't seen my dad for a year. Being an Ada, and that's a first daughter, and I was like a favorite for him too. So I hadn't seen him. I felt the need. I was homesick again after I had the child, and I begged to come, and he said to me, if you're ready to come home, get ready for suspension. That's a practice that they do once you commit sin in the church. So I had to prepare my mind mentally for that that stigma, because it's a huge stigma when you get suspended in the church. Nobody relates with you, even your family members. When they come to church, you will be put at the back seat. Your family members are not supposed to even say hello to you, despite you people are in the same house. Of course, whatever happens in the house is, but once you come to church, you are stigmatized as such. So I had made up my mind to, okay, I'm going to do this, whatever the case might be, so be it. Let me bear the consequence. And thankfully, I went before the church, and the church members stood before them and made the public confession of the sin I had committed, the sin of fornication, yes. And having to be pregnant outside of wedlock is also a sin. It's not just the act, the eventual, results. So I confessed to them publicly there, and they deliberated on the matter. And thank God it came in my favor. The elders all applauded me, the fact that I was able to come forward, that amongst them too, there are people who are engaging in secret sins and are not bold enough to come forward. And, the whole thing came in my favor eventually, and I was declared free to associate with the rest of the church.
So you
and
didn't get to sit at the back?
No, I didn't get to sit at the back. And they prayed for me and then gave me that blessing. And that was when my father accepted me fully. That was when he could carry the child and then bless her. It was surreal. Like, I'm like, I can't believe that you would do this because of the church. This is a grandchild of yours, one way or the other. She came through me, and but the fact that it happened was very important for me, and I'm glad it happened. And ever since then, my dad was very willing and has been very willing to cater to the child most times when I am down, I can't handle, or, okay, I'm getting very emotional right now.
Okay,
about
so I'm getting emotional too. So there was something that you had said that I would really like for us to discuss.
Yeah.
When we get back. Stay tuned. So we are back with Emotions with Omanasa. We are pretty much discussing about single mothers, being a single parent, the stigma in the society, the stigma in religion, and just the whole topic itself is emotionally draining. And my guest and I have been having a very, very insightful talk. What you were saying about your dad not even holding the child until the church accepted you, and you got emotional about that because this is your grandchild. So this is not about the church or whatever, but it really goes to show the depth of stigmatization, the depth of malignment. And so your father rejected you because that's a form of rejection. What about the father of the child?
Well, the communication has not been smooth currently. Previously, then also that was not, it wasn't a conversation he wanted to have, because obviously he wanted the baby out. Okay, so it was not a conversation. So once he knew that I was not able to take out the pregnancy, he told me, I'm not going to relate with you. You're going to regret your life if this is the path you want to take, and all of that. So those were the things that scared me, and which was also the reason I remain very grateful to these people whom God put in my path and has made it so far that even the days I should feel as though I'm going to regret that action, it's something I still look back at and I'm like, thank God, And to be honest, that child, though she's looking at her makes me remember the father, but definitely we're not even in communication this 10 years. We've not been in communication in whatsoever way.
So now you are truly, truly a single mother.
Yes.
Because that means that there is no financial help, there is no financial
None.
support whatsoever, no emotional support.
None.
I do believe that you got married a few years after that.
Yes, 3 years after that, I got, when my baby was 3, I got married. Well, of course, the stigma continued because mom always reminded me of how my mates were married and I chose a different path. I was sent to school and I brought back, instead of bringing certificates, I brought back a child, the African mothers, tauntings and all of that. So it was really bugging me, and I was on the lookout, okay, any person who comes my way, I would just need to settle because I can't deal with the mental stress I was getting from home, from my parents. And then it was already becoming so real, like when the child is now with the parent, you have to make contributions. The fact that they're there, you still have to make contributions. You brought back a child, so take care of the child. So those were also there. I'm mentioning this right now because they were experiences I had, and I know that some lady out there too is experiencing it in the home. Trust me, I know a couple of single mothers and single parents who are experiencing same. The pattern is almost similar.
The same.
Yes, because when they share their experiences or try to be vulnerable and share, it's so similar. And I'm like, is this just an African thing or is it a general thing, But we're yet to find out why that is so. But that was the situation, and for me, I was like, okay, the next available man or next person who shows face.
I like that.
Yeah.
Available man.
It was
available man.
It was that for me.
So
that
you
was
are
where my thought
admitting
system.
that you did settle. This was another type. Not a ploy, but you know what? Like, I just have to settle, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I just needed to settle so I get free from here, and for me, it was more like anyone who comes has to know my story. There's a child in the picture. So I was like, okay, this has to happen. And so came this young man, and that was the first thing I told him. Say, if you're having anything in your mind or thoughts, this is what it is. If you want to deal with me, you have to deal with this. This is first. She comes first. So if you're ready to tango, let's go. And that was how it started. You know, I made sure I didn't leave that. Although my mom faulted me for doing that, because now, as the situation is, she faults me once was that I didn't listen. I shouldn't have mentioned. I shouldn't have involved the child. Okay, now I'm a single mother second time around because we were abandoned by this man. So the marriage lasted just like barely 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so he walked out on us in 2016.
Wow.
Yes, and has never turned back.
Meaning that he hasn't looked back, so he didn't.
Yes, he never came back. He never came back. He left, and after several mediations by my parents, you know, to his family to try to see how they can patch things up, there was no response from his own end.
And this is somebody who
married, yes.
And this is somebody who did something on your head.
Exactly. You know, it's so I don't know, but I just believe that my life, God is using it as a lesson somehow. I don't know, but I've thought through about it, and I'm like, okay, where did I go wrong? You know, and before now, everyone, I also always got the information from people. So what did you do? Why did he walk out? You must have been stubborn. You must have been this. And I'm like, oh my God, does it have to be the woman who is wrong for the man to walk away? You know? And to be honest, I never even knew when he went away. I never had knowledge of it. I was depressed for over a month. Funny enough, when he walked out, I never knew anything. We never had a problem. We didn't have a quarrel, you know, as man and wife. We were perfect. I mean, I was surprised that, but the revelations eventually came forth months after he had left. I got to find out that he had been going to some church members and telling them to take care of us, that he wants to leave. He's frustrated that he wants to leave. And
Did you have a child with him?
Yes, I had a child with him, and he left when she was 1 year and 6 months. Now, to people, I was married, okay? And I am now stuck with my parents' position religiously, where divorce is not accepted. You have to wait till he comes back. Now it's been 5 years, he's been gone. And I say to my dad, are you serious? Would you stay married with your wife and watch your daughter be unmarried? You know, I've tried different ways to talk about this, or, you know, try to get my parents to see reason why this shouldn't be. But they're still headstrong on it.
But is this their decision or yours?
It's meant to be my decision, actually. But also, you would look at his ministry. The same person, it's only Adimora's daughter that is in the church, you know, out
Same
of wedlock.
person has a child out of wedlock. She gets married. She's now separated or divorced. We don't even know what she is.
Do you get? So this is not a good model. So to them, that is the position or the angle they are looking at. So it's more like, okay, do I have to wait? Now, the marriage has subsisted for over 5 years now. This year is 5 years. And I am stuck with to move forward or to wait.
What is the lesson that you have learned, and the lesson that you could share with my viewers?
One lesson I learned is try and be decisive for yourself. To be honest, make a decision for yourself. That's one lesson. A second lesson is look around you. Help is definitely around you. It might not be from the angle or the quarters you are expecting that to come from. Looking back, what I would like to change probably would be to be duly married. It's funny I'm saying that, but to be duly married such that these children or my child, it's hurtful anyways because my first child doesn't even have a knowledge of her father, although for this person coming into the picture at the time and she knew him for a brief moment as a father figure, it even got to a point she said to me, "Mommy, don't worry, God will give you another husband that will be the right father for us." And it really touched me. So if I had an opportunity to change anything, really it's been a blessing to even birth her. And I'm glad I did eventually because she's been awesome. God has also used her to minister to me. But the only thing I think I would change is to have her have a father, not have a missing fatherhood in her lifetime. That is the only thing I think I could change if I had the powers to.
We do need to have mercy on people because the difference between you and my guest and the difference between me and my guest is that we haven't been caught. Thank you so much for watching.
You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. Let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.